Hi, I'm Angela Damaris, a board member of WLJT PBS. WLJT has been providing educational TV for 57 years, and they are local. We're talking from Paris, Tennessee to Savannah, Tennessee. And if you have a parade or special community event, PBS is there. In the rain, in the snow, they have the best seat for all those parades, whether you were there in person or if you happen to miss it. WLJT will provide you the entire parade, all in one. We need your help. Go to WLJT.org or WestTennesseePBS.org.
When he's not adjusting spines as a chiropractor in Huntington, he's making state laws in Nashville. Hello, I'm Peter Knoll, and straight ahead on Tennessee is Talking, we're joined by State Representative Brock Martin. He'll give us an insider's view of the latest legislative session. Plus, we'll find out what made a West Tennessee healthcare provider get into state politics. And we'll see baby pictures of his new son. So let the conversation begin.
We are rolling. Confirm record. Can we get a mic check? Check, check. Stand by camera 2. Take 2. Stand by announcer in 3, 2.
West Tennessee PBS presents Tennessee is Talking. Let the conversation begin.
Welcome to this edition of Tennessee is Talking. I'm your host, Peter Knoll. Today we're finding out how a local chiropractor balances fixing spines with making state laws. WLJT is honored to welcome the state representative of the 79th District and new dad, Brock Martin, to our Jackson Media Center. Welcome to Channel 11.
Man, thank you, Peter. Thank you for having me. I know this has been a 4-year in the making process. As you come to Nashville and help lobby and legislate,
well,
help us. You say, I'm coming and I'm finally here. So
we see each other on parade routes.
All over West Tennessee. And I'm just thankful for the opportunity to finally sit down with you and chat a little bit about things I love. West Tennessee, healthcare, state legislature. Those are 3 things that I'm passionate about. And
you also love this little guy.
Oh, man.
This is your new little guy.
This has gotten good.
Introduce him.
Stockton James. He was born March 24th, so he's right at 7 weeks old. And then we have Story Grace. She is 16 months. She was our first girl. She was born back in December of 24. And then Steele is our 9-year-old. He's a 3rd grader at Huntington Primary School. He was our first and only for 8 years. And now at 40, we have 2 under 15 months. So my wife and I are learning a new crazy, but it's been a blessing.
May recognize his wife, Krista. She's been on Channel 11.
She has, yes.
She's the president of the Friends of the Dixie Carter Performing Arts Center and has joined us on the show.
Absolutely. She beat me in here. So she did. I watched y'all's interview, and y'all did an exceptional job.
She's great.
Selling the Dixie, which is one of the gems of West Tennessee. And to have it right here in our community is just such a win for all of us. But
so you're originally from Camden, correct?
Yeah. I graduated from Camden High School. One cool fact that I learned when I was running 4 years ago, people kept saying, well, you're not from here. Chris and I have been in Huntington for 12 years. But as I started doing some research, I'm a 7th generation Tennessean, 7th generation West Tennessean, and even cooler, 7th generation from District 79. So in 1822, the Martin family came from South Carolina, land in Mackley, which is Macklemoresville, right in the heart of this district, which was crazy to learn looking back on it, that my family has been here all those years. My grandparents grew up in Gibson, right in the middle of Gibson County, and then mom and dad are both school teachers, so they ended up moving Trezevant and then Big Sandy, which is a little town in Benton County, and then they settled at Camden High School. For 40 years they taught in public ed, so that's how I got to Camden. Psychology, sociology for my dad, who was a high school basketball coach, and then my mom was special ed, so she taught 40 years in special education across Tennessee, and that's really what ingrained in us 4 kids the importance of public service, the importance of education, and then the importance of doing more for your community. We watched them do it with 4 kids and teach and coach, somehow survive. So now with 3 kids, I feel like I can handle it because I know mom and dad did it through those years.
So you went to Bethel, is that correct?
That's right, yep. I went to Bethel University for undergrad. I was blessed to play basketball there as a coach's son. That was a dream, partly where Stockton's name came from. John Stockton was my idol growing up as a point guard, so that's where that name originated. But I went to Logan University up in St. Louis for chiropractic school, which is where
how did you pick
closest to home, 4.5 hours to school. But when I was in high school, I used to job shadow a husband and wife in Camden, Alan and Amber Douglas, and I shadowed them, got a passion for what they were doing, and that's what got me down that road. And now, which is really cool, we own a clinic in Huntington, and we end up purchasing the clinic they're at in Camden. So we have 2 locations now with our business, and Alan and Amber now work with us. So it's kind of come full circle over the 25 years.
Is that how you met Krista?
And Krista and I met in St. Louis, yep. She was from up in Indiana, small farm country, and I convinced her to come south. I've been bragging on West Tennessee, so I convinced her to come to God's country down here in Tennessee. So.
When I was preparing to interview her for the first time, I was because I didn't connect that you two were married.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like researching her, and I'm like, oh, she works at a chiropractor. Isn't that funny? Because I think Brock is a chiropractor.
That's right.
And then I looked over, and there was you're like.
And
okay,
that's the secret sauce. You know, when I'm running for office, people are like, "How's your business going to survive? How are we going to make it work?" And I was like, "You're about to see how and why, because Krista is the brains behind it. She's the business mind. She was able to work. We've been able to thankfully grow our business to other providers in there, but a lot of it was having a good spouse that allowed me to step out into another sector, which was legislation and things.
Are your folks still around? They must
be
so proud of you.
They are. Well, they're proud most days. They're from. They live in Camden. We're trying to recruit them over to Huntington as well, so they're looking for homes there. They have now 11 grandchildren, and 6 of them are in Huntington. So we're trying to recruit them to stay there. So I believe we'll get them over there in the next year or so, hopefully. And other siblings are in Germantown, and then some in North Mississippi. So they're busy chasing grandkids and following along. They love to follow the policy and legislation now. Mom's following along probably a lot more than she needs to, but it's good. It's good.
So you and Krista were running the successful chiropractor business in Huntington.
That's right.
And then 4 years ago, you're like, I want to...
Life changed. So one thing that to start over, in 2012 when I moved to Huntington, I sat down with Mayor Dale Kelly. Dale Kelly was our Lake County mayor, or city mayor. He's part of behind the Dixie Performing Arts Center, the Lake. And I'll never forget sitting across from him. He said, "Brock, whatever you do, always look for more ways to serve your community." And so at 27 years old at the time, starting a business, all I could think about was chiropractic. I wasn't thinking about anything else, but I always kept thinking every time I went to an event or engagement, continue to do more for your community. Community is where everything's built. I need to be more than just an 8-to-5 provider. And so in 2012, there was an open seat coming. Representative Curtis Halford was retiring. This was going to be a new open seat. And I started getting phone calls and people saying, "Hey, Brock, you'd be perfect." And I made the mistake of saying, "Krista and I will pray about it and see what happens." And so once we did that, more phone calls started coming. People kept saying, "This is the right step for you guys." So we prayed about it. We made a commitment, if we were to win, this is where God needs us. If we lose, this is where God needs us as well. Whatever happens, it's for His glory, and we'll make it work. Thankfully, we were able to win. And 4 years ago, started this journey into legislation. And I had a little bit of background in legislation just because I do what you did. I'd go up and lobby for chiropractic. I was the Tennessee Chiropractic Association president, so I'd go and meet legislators. I had no clue what they did. And one of the things I learned early is that guy sitting across from me knows not much more than I do as the individual coming to lobby. Those guys have so much on their plate. We're a citizen-led legislature, which means every one of us have a job outside of Nashville, which is part of the beauty, I think, of state government compared to federal. But as I sat there and started learning, that helped me. And as a healthcare provider, it helped me because I see things not just black and white. When a patient comes to me with shoulder pain, typically it's not just shoulder pain. We're looking up and down the musculoskeletal chain, neck, elbow, wrist. And so I kind of take that same mentality into legislation. When people come to me, like in your case, you come and educate me on PBS, on public television. I knew nothing about that. But you guys come in and educate me, and it allows me to see a bigger picture of things. And then from a legislative standpoint, just like I do in my clinic, I have to think, what's the best option for all involved? How do I not just improve him, but others, maybe his family and others as well? So you got to kind of look holistically, legislatively. And I think that's why healthcare providers are uniquely trained to be physicians, or uniquely trained to be legislators because of that component.
And I was living in Oklahoma at one time when one of our congressmen was a doctor.
Yeah.
And I just think it gives them such a unique perspective.
That's right.
In shaping laws, in making laws and policies that are going to impact millions of people.
It does. And I think that's a key. In Nashville, currently, I think there's 4 of us that are doctor levels, either MD, DC. We have 3 or 4 other pharmacy. So we've got high-level, physician-level folks there. And that's key for me. My passion when I ran 4 years ago was being a voice for West Tennessee, all of West Tennessee. That's my heart and soul out here. But rural healthcare is where I really plant my chair in Nashville. That's what I like to focus on. I'm chairman of the health subcommittee, so a lot of issues, all healthcare issues, have to start through my committee, which is awesome. As a chiropractor especially, they're coming to me, and we get to help start to direct the conversation. But healthcare's that thing where if you don't have providers in the room, the insurers are going to carry the weight. And what we've seen is the pendulum has swung so far in favor of insurance companies. Now, if you go to your doctor, you have all these prior authorizations, you have all these hoops you got to jump through, and the doctor-patient relationship has disappeared. And that's where, objectively, I'm working to get us back towards in Tennessee. We've done a poll recently in West Tennessee. Here, 80% of you guys say insurance is too much involved in healthcare. That tells me all I need to know. 80% of West Tennessee. Yep. I did a poll on it from the two Senate districts, which was Senator John Stevens, which is the northwest corner, and Ed Jackson, which is right through the heart of West Tennessee. 80% of my folks in West Tennessee said insurance has to get out of the way. And for me, that is a tell of, hey, I know my job in Nashville. We've got to push on the envelope a little bit. Insurance needs to be there. It serves its role, but we've got to get back to a patient-centric approach to healthcare to reduce cost and get patients better quicker.
And I think when people are watching the state legislative sessions, you guys have, you leave your families,
That's right.
your towns, your houses, your own beds, and all relocate to Nashville for how many months?
We're there January through April. So Tennessee's unique. We go, General Assembly is 2 years. So we just finished 114th, and that started last year, and then we go back in January through April each year. So 4 months and about 3.5 days a week. We go up Monday morning, and I come home Thursday. I rent a house there for my cousin. Me and another legislator live there together, and it's almost like a dorm. We're there. We only sleep, and then we're in the Capitol all the other times pretty much.
What's the drive time?
About right at 2 hours, so it's not terrible. And that's where the sacrifice comes in from, like I mentioned, Krista being a champion for West Tennessee as well. She sees the bigger picture, and she knows that we're in this season together.
And she's being mom.
She's
with
managing
three busy kids.
3 kids and 2 businesses and 12 or 13, 14 employees, and she's managing that. But that's part of the faith of what we're doing. When we did it 4 years ago, we're like, look, we're in this season together for this purpose. Whenever that door closes, he'll open another door. But it's been cool to see because the businesses continue to succeed. We've been able to accomplish some really cool things for West Tennessee and Nashville. And then thankfully our kids, the 2 youngest ones don't know yet, but still enjoys the process too. At 9 years old, he's getting to do some cool things with seeing the governor, seeing people he never would have
I saw him at the Strawberry Festival.
That's right.
Governor's luncheon. Sitting at the head table right
there. He got to come up front and sit with me. He's met some amazing people. And I think back, especially my childhood growing up, my parents were both school teachers. I never dreamed that I'd have an opportunity to serve the state of Tennessee. I had some other friends that everybody said, oh, they're going to be the next congressman or legislator. That was usually never Brock that they were pointing out as the next one. And so that's why I don't take it for granted. Every time I walk into that chamber, I'm thinking of the 200 years before me and hopefully 200, 300, 400 more years after that I have opportunity to sit in that seat. And it's a humbling experience, one you don't take for granted, though. And I think that's the key part, too. We see sometimes where we take advantage or don't see the bigger picture of what we're getting to do in that short amount of time for Tennesseans.
You said you accomplished some great things. Tell us what you're most proud of things that you've accomplished.
I think this year, what I concentrate on heavily this year, rural health is still the talking point. The big, beautiful bill that got passed last year through federal government it's going to be over $1 billion, which is $200 million per year over the next 5 years to rural health. And so as chairman of the health subcommittee, I've been able to sit in those conversations and figure out how we're going to direct those dollars to actually impact rural Tennessee. And so right now, unfortunately, in Tennessee, we're number 1 in maternal health mortality issues. So we're going to work on making sure that pregnant moms especially, and I've lived through 2 now, I'm really close to that age group, are getting care they need closer to them. That's part of the problem we see is you got to drive to Jackson or Memphis to deliver a child, or in our case, we had to go to Union City, which was an hour from Huntington. So finding ways to treat the patients closer to home is going to be key. And some of the technology advances we're going to do through telemedicine will help us do a little bit of that, monitoring on our pregnant ladies. Another thing that I was really excited about our passed this year came from our district. Some of the best bills we have come from home. And I heard from one of my friends who's got an autistic child. And she was saying, it's really hard because he's in school from 8 to 3. And then from 3 to 5, I've got to get into Jackson to get the services for ABA therapy, which is Applied Behavioral Analyst. And so what we did this year is I ran a bill. Florida is the only other state in the country that's done it, where now in public schools starting this fall, ABA therapists will be in-house if a parent chooses. If your private pay insurer allows it, we can have ABA therapists in the public school with those children. So any autistic children or developmentally delayed child will have access to those services in the school building during the school day when they're most in their distracted state.
That's going to really impact a lot of families.
It's going to impact a lot, and it's going to help. It's one of those wins that's a win for your schools because it's not going to cost them anything. It's a win for our parents because they're the ones that are stressing and having to try to get them 45 minutes to Jackson after school. And it's a major win for those children to get those services they need a little quicker and accessible. And healthcare, it's about quality, affordability, and accessibility. And those are the three that I concentrate on. So if we can get that accessibility component fixed, that's where we're forcing or looking at. And one other big bill that we got done this year, and the key with bills, it's not I am the one that's carrying or sponsoring it, but it's a whole circle of folks around me that are doing it. And this one was with the American Cancer Society. For the last 2 years, we've been working on this one. It was dealing with biomarker testing. So biomarker testing is where we can go in and get specific genomes of a cancer on the front end. So if you came to a doctor and I thought you might have prostate cancer, there's a specific antigen I could test for. Currently, certain insurance companies aren't covering that. Wildly enough, they'll go, let you go 6 or 8 months of trying all these things, where if they'd have done the test on the front end, we could have figured out what was going on. So that biomarker testing we passed this year for the first time, finally got it funded. It's going to allow us the doctor to be a doctor and to order the test they need. The insurance now has to pay for it, and the doctor can find out what cancer you might have quicker. It's going to get you the care you need and hopefully get you recovering faster in that process. So that's another healthcare bill that came on from a lot of work and a lot of negotiating because it had a fiscal note, which means it had a cost to it. And so when that happens, that's usually a roadblock in Nashville. So in my 4 years, I've learned the key to anything in Nashville or in life is relationships. So I've worked hard at building relationships with the people that make those decisions. And so when that opportunity came, they were able to extend a hand and help me out as well. So
walk us through the process where you've experienced something probably as a doctor, as a healthcare provider, chiropractor, where it's like, I want to do this for the patient, but their insurance won't pay for it. I'm going to do something about this.
Yep.
I can do something. What's that process?
The process that we see currently, and I'll use an example, happens in my office a lot. You'll order visits or an exam, and a third party denies it. So currently there's an insurance company who then looks at an algorithm and says, nope, you're out of that. We can't provide that service, or the doctor can't. So what we saw was that's an issue. That doctor's not, he's making a decision, he or she is making a clinical decision. The insurance company should get out of the way and allow that to happen. But what happens is the doctor then has to send that information off to a third party who gets to decide if that's happening. And part of the problem was that was being decided in California or in another state, not even in Tennessee. So that decision was taking the doctor out and making the insurance guys control it. So what we did this year with another piece of legislation was say, hey, you're going to have to bring those individuals that are doing your prior authorizations have to be licensed Tennessee provider in Tennessee to actually look and notice and check through the notes that the doctor sends over. Why that's important is because that guy in California or New York or wherever they are, they're not seeing that patient, and they're not held responsible for any decision they make. Now when we bring it in Tennessee and it's a Tennessee provider, we have an access to them. If they're not following medical necessity, we now have a claim we could do against their board of examiners to hold them accountable to do their job better as well. So that's kind of a real life example of an issue, and then a bill that we created to help collectively fix that, a wrapped around service for the patient. And at the end of the day, the patient wins.
What is the best way for your constituents to get in touch with you?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like there's email, there's Facebook, and
all that.
So many people just post mean stuff or
That's
stuff
right.
on Facebook.
That's right.
And it's like that really doesn't do anything.
No.
How should people get in touch with you with ideas or feedback, or just to tell you, hey, thanks for doing your work?
Any way you want. I'm on all the social media stuff, and I don't often respond on the actual pages. I'll write you a personal message if you write me. I try to do that often. I've never seen an argument one on Facebook, so I just stay off that. We make posts, and then people sometimes respond nicely, sometimes they don't, but I usually try to reach out to them individually, even whichever side they're on. Best thing you could do is email us, though, rep.brott.martin@capital.tn.gov, which we can probably put a link on somewhere because that's hard to track. That's the best way. And the best other way to do that, when you send us a message in the subject line, put constituent, if you're a constituent of HD 79, which helps my assistant.
And that is Gibson, what county?
Gibson, Carroll, and Henderson. My districts are split, but I claim all of them. So all 3 counties, if you're anywhere in that district, you write me. Put constituent in there. That flags us. So I've got a full-time assistant in Nashville. She's there 5 days a week, year-round. So even when we're not in session, her job's to be there.
If you just Google Brock Martin,
it'll pop up. Yeah.
The state legislative website in Tennessee is so user-friendly.
It is the best in the country.
It shows you there's just play on it.
You play it, and you can see. You can watch everything we do. You can see the bills.
It's amazing, yeah.
But write that. Put the constituent in there. Email us. Keely's job is to filter through, and we get thousands of emails. A lot of them not from Tennessee, so it is a challenge. So if you put constituent, that allows her to flag it. We can track it easier. And if you're not a constituent, just put West Tennessee, because again, my heart's West Tennessee, so I'm going to answer my West Tennesseans and my constituents before I do anywhere else in the state. So reach out. My job is to be accessible and visible as your legislator. That's what we do. We're a citizen-led legislature, so I try to be out. I give my business card, has my cell phone on it. I don't care.
He is out. I mean, if I'm at an event, there's a 90% chance he's going to be there too.
We try, and I think that's a part of this. The funnest part for me is being out and seeing things. But my business card, if I see you out and I have my cell phone on it, use that. I have people text, call all the time, and whatever your issue is, it's the biggest issue for you in that moment. And that's what no question is dumb or nothing's too big or too little. Oftentimes, if I can't help you, I can at least put you in the position that can. That goes back to the healthcare side of me. If I can't help you in my clinic, I know I can refer you to somebody that can. And my job as a legislator is the exact same thing. Reach out to us. If we can't help you, somebody in State Department can, or higher up. Oftentimes, I can go to Congressman Kustoff or Senator Blackburn or Haggerty's offices, and they can help us get the answer that you want. It might not be the answer you want, but we can get you an answer that can potentially get you on the right track.
And the complexities of getting policies made, new laws made, was really front and center. This year, Channel 11 for the first time aired the legislative session on our main channel. Only station in the entire state to do that.
Yes.
And if you spent any time watching it, you saw what it takes.
Yeah, absolutely.
From the committee here, it has to get approved through the committee and make its way. I mean,
all the way.
There's and you got to see it all live on Channel 11, and it really shows the number of people. There's one woman sitting at the front. She's got a binder. I don't even know how that thick.
Right.
And she's writing down everything.
It just goes. And that's beautiful. I appreciate you guys doing that, because I've had numerous people tell me they watch PBS, they watch that component, and can watch us live. My parents are some of them. They've watched that. That's a great resource, because the biggest shock to me that when I've gotten here, and I kind of knew going into it, was how little people truly understand what we do and how important what we do actually is to them, and how important they need to be engaged in the process. That's my biggest frustration still, is often I don't hear from people until something's already passed. And then they're so mad or so happy. I was like, guys, if you'd get on the front end, we can really shape policy to benefit you. But I've got to hear it on the front end before it becomes a firestorm on the backside often. And being engaged is part of that process of finding out.
Speaking of engagement, this legislative session had the little bonus. This special session called. There was a lot of controversy over it, and you got to see that firsthand.
Oh yeah.
But you probably always tell, and I've heard you say this, I represent everyone in District 79. How do you balance representing everyone and both sides of issues?
That is a challenge, especially in today's day and age, going back to social media and things. We live in a world where people can get behind a computer and make statements and do things that they would never do when they sit across the table from you, ever. And I've learned that quickly. I've been called every name in the book. Last week, some of the names I've called, I had to go back and even look up what they meant. It was that bad. And in my mind, I'm walking through there and I'm thinking, this gentleman or woman has never even sat down with me. They don't know if I'm Democrat, Republican, where I think, or they're just there angry and screaming. And I was like, if we come and sit down across from us, have coffee and talk, we're going to find out we're probably 85% similar. The other 15% we might not be, and that's the beauty of the country that we live in. You're not going to agree. But that 85% is where we have to start concentrating more on to move Tennessee forward. Howard Baker was a U.S. Senator from East Tennessee, legendary guy. I follow and listen to a lot of his stuff. And his saying was, you always have to remember the other guy might be right. And both sides. I try to tell both sides that. Democrat or Republican, if you're on the Democrat side and you think everything we're doing is terrible, calm down and breathe and think about what we're trying to do. Could it be right? On my side, the same way. If those gentlemen is yelling and screaming at me, let's sit down. Let's find out where we could be potentially disagreeing, but where we can find commonality and move forward. Because at the end of the day, that's the key of what we do in Nashville. It's hard to do sometimes. You got to have a lot of grace and a lot of patience. And thankfully, as I've gotten older, I have more of that, because the Barack of old probably wouldn't have been as willing to sit down and talk with certain people certain times.
Well, I've learned you rarely make headway or come to make progress yelling and screaming.
Never, yeah.
It's
That's
really,
right.
it's trying to understand everyone in the room.
That's it.
And move
I've
forward.
never seen anything good come out of an emotional conversation. Usually once you let cooler heads prevail and you come back and sit down, positive can come out of it. Even last week in that conversation, later on this past weekend, I talked with an individual on the other side of the aisle that was highly opposed to what we did. And as he had time to sit down and think and talk, he said, we're not going to agree, but there's a potential for this to be good. And we need to look at the good and understand that you guys weren't necessarily coming from a bad stance, that maybe there is some good here. And, I think that's the way we've got to look at all issues. It's hard to do in today's day and age when instant gratification is key, but if we can calm down, cooler heads, and realize that we're trying to be a voice for everybody.
And if you could rewind 4 years ago, would you make the same decision and get involved in state politics?
Absolutely. Yeah, outside of faith and family, this has been the greatest honor I've ever had. It is such a blessing, and it goes back to what I mentioned earlier. It's an honor to walk into that chamber. And when I go, and best thing I enjoy doing, I've got 2 of them next week, I go and talk to high school kids in our schools, public schools, go and talk to them. And that's what I try to encourage them, is just be involved. You never know what doors God's going to open. This is not where I saw myself even 4 years ago, until that started happening. But when he puts you in those spots, you got to make sure, that the light that shines within you is bigger and brighter than the light that shines on you. And in this public sector, you get a lot of light shined on you, and it's easy to get consumed by thinking, oh, look at me. But you got to constantly remind yourself that's not what it's about. It's about being a light for him and for this country and this state, and then realizing that my generation here is serving Steele's generation and those 3 kids. I want Tennessee to be where they can be proud of, and that's up to us making decisions today to impact them 30 years from now.
Well, that's a good note to end it on. Unfortunately, we are out of time.
Man, we could talk all day.
But our
sure.
best to, congratulations on Stockton.
Yes.
Your new one. And please give our best to Krista.
We will. It's a blessing. And God's blessed us with 3 beautiful, healthy kids right now. So it's been fun.
Well, come back and visit us.
Anytime, man. This is great. And thank you again for what you're doing for PBS and for West Tennessee.
It's our honor. It's our honor. And we want to thank you for watching today's program. And if you would like to watch it again or share it with a friend, you can stream this episode and all local Channel 11 programs for free on the PBS app, the WLJT YouTube channel, and our website. That's westtnpbs.org. And be sure to follow WLJT on social media. I'm Peter Knoll, thanking you for watching and reminding you to keep on talking, Tennessee.
I'm James Cherry, poet, writer, music impresario here in Jackson, Tennessee. We were raised on this local PBS station, whether it was Sesame Street or the Electric Company or Mr. Rogers. PBS and Channel 11 has always been an integral part of our life and our development. So let's keep this going. Whether there's funding or no funding, you can do your part today. Visit westtennesseepbs.org or wljt.org. Please give now.
Attention West Tennessee business owners. Are you looking to promote your business, products, and services to a unique and affluent audience? Then you should join other businesses who have already added WLJT Channel 11 to their marketing plans. For more information on marketing with WLJT, call 1-800-366-9558 or email us at the address on your screen. And if you're wondering about the effectiveness of marketing your business with WLJT, remember you learned about this opportunity by seeing this promo on WLJT Channel 11.